Hello, friends. Today, I'd like to spend some time and talk about the 20 lakh crore package. I thought of sharing some of my views, my opinions, and would be good to get your comments and suggestions and your views as well. But before we go into the 20 lakh crore details and the different tranches which were announced, perhaps it would be good to understand the state of Indian economy before the COVID crisis as well, because that will give us a very good indication and good perspective of what room we had to play when the crisis hit us. What all we could have done with the available resources. So if I take a step back to Q4 of 2019 and look at the Indian economic condition at that time, the picture was not rosy at all. There was a serious slowdown of the economy and consistent slowdown over last 2 to 3 years, which was happening, and a lot of leading indicators were not very impressive. Our overall growth rate had plummeted from 8%, let's say in 2017-18, to about 4.5% by the quarters two of 2019. The imports were down. The exports had completely plummeted from about 9% in the peak at 2017 to almost about 1% in Q3 of 2019. Even the internal manufacturing sector was down. Our consumer goods production was very slow. A good indicator is always the electricity consumption and generation. And by the quarter three of 2019, the electricity generation was slowest in 30 years in India, which is a good kind of a summation of all economic activities which are happening in the country, right? And because of all this, the tax collections was also very low, was slow. The direct tax revenue was down year on year from about 16% in 2017 to 0% by the quarter three of 2019. So we were in a very tight spot. The slowdown was massive. It was not a general slowdown, and there are multiple reasons behind this. The two principal reasons is that basically a breakdown of our financial system. The banks had loaned to a lot of infra companies, and the NBFCs had loaned to a lot of real estate companies. In both of these scenarios, we had a huge amount of non-performing assets and bad loans which occurred because neither the infra companies as well as the real estate companies were able to repay it back to the banks and the NBFCs. That's why it's called as the four balance sheet issue. Each one of these subsectors unfortunately impacted each other. And it was why did it happen is principally, as you can see, it's a demand issue. It was a demand issue in the Indian economy. The real estate sector had literally had no demand. Because of the no demand on the real estate sector, the infrastructure companies also were slowing down. Generally, there was not a supply side issue as such, but there was a big demand side issue. So it's very important to note this aspect before we go into the solution of COVID-19 from a package perspective. And it kind of gets reflected in the budget of 2020-21. The fiscal deficit in the budget itself was 3.5%, which means the expenditures were far more than incomes the government of India was budgeted to have for 2021. And what it did was, that means it gave us a very small window of opportunity to operate without taking the fiscal deficit to the uncontrollable limits, as well as creating a package which is very sharp, which is concentrated and hard hitting to the sectors which needed the stimulus the most in this crisis. And that was the kind of I think that would have been the blueprint objectives of planning any package in this scenario, in this background, where you don't have too much of room. 3.5% of fiscal deficit is already there. At max, you can raise it to another 200 basis points and take it to about 5.5% to 6%. That's the ceiling. Anything beyond that would have hurt your credit ratings, the ratings by the international agencies, as well as would have weakened INR even more than what it is today. So that balance had to be maintained. Now let's take a next step into what this 20 lakh crore package was all about. We all know that 20 lakh crore package was not all new packages. It had a lot of components of the policy decisions which were already announced, a lot of schemes which were already announced. So out of 20 lakh crore, 8 crore was already announced by the Reserve Bank of India, mostly in the form of monetary policies and in the form of liquid raising and the credit raising. A lot of their monetary decisions were done to reduce, let's say, the CRRs, the cash reserve ratios, so that the banks are able to lend more to people, to the industries, rather than depositing and reserving that money with the RBI. So that 8 lakh crore was purely monetary policies, monetary measures to raise the liquidity or the credit side. Another 1.92 lakh crores were previously announced. They were already announced in the form of the Prime Minister Garib Kalyan package. A lot of these were direct cash benefit transfers. 1.7 lakh crores out of this 1.92 lakh crores were mostly in the form of direct cash benefit transfers. Schemes like Jan Dhan accounts, where about 500 rupees were transferred to every woman account, the rural women accounts. So there was a Prime Minister Kisan Yojana, where 2,000 rupees were immediately dispersed. In the Prime Minister Kisan Yojana, you give 6,000 rupees to the farmers over a year in three batches, three disbursements. So 2,000 rupees were already dispersed in the first tranche. And there were some payments done to the construction workers. There were some direct cash benefit transfers done to the senior citizens, the widows, persons with disabilities. So all of that direct cash benefit transfer combined was around 1.7 lakh crores. Now, these were already announced. So the fresh packages roughly was about 10 lakh crores of that 20 lakh crores, which were announced in different tranches over 5 days. Last week, as we know, that tranche 2 to tranche 5, or part 2 to part 5, right? Now, in fact, most of these, in fact, almost all of these remaining 10 lakh crores were mostly on the liquid side, the credit raising side. Most of these were in the form of raising the credit, giving the guarantees to the banks, giving guarantees to the NBFCs, to the other microfinancial institutions. There were a lot of amount given to the discoms, packages given to the sectors, mostly in the form of credit. Kisan Credit Card Yojana, or the another credit line being offered to the street vendors. And the biggest of this was the credit line which was offered to the MSME sector, because we all know and we all have come to a common conclusion that the most and the hardest hit sector has been the MSME sector. And for that, the biggest part of the remaining 10 lakh crore was 3 lakh crores, which were given as part of then automatic extension credit, which was offered to the MSME sector. That was a big component. And there were certain medium to long-term policy decision changes also, in terms of the definition of the MSMEs being elaborated, opening up of the private partnerships and the private contribution in a lot of sectors which were predominantly operated by the PSCs, public sector enterprises. So a lot of these are, I would say, the mid to long-term plans. But a big component, if you see, of the 10 lakh crores, the remaining 10 lakh crores was all about raising the credit, offering loans. No direct cash benefit transfers, but offering loans. Now, what this has done is it has created a soft impact or a very minor impact into that population and that sector which needed an immediate cash relief, an immediate fiscal relief stimulus from their operating cost and running cost of running their companies, or the household balance sheets, where people just need money to eat food, to survive, and to just carry on in this phase when they don't have jobs. So that part, if you see, the entire DCT, or direct cash transfer, at max has been around 1 lakh crores. 1 lakh crores out of 20 lakh crores has been the direct cash transfer, which is just 0.5% of GDP, not 10% of the GDP as the total package looks like. Now, that package is true. A lot of those will stimulate the economy in the medium to long term. But what we are talking about is an immediate benefit to the hardest hit segment of our population. And that is only 0.5% of the GDP. Now, I was going through that, what one major difference. There could have been so many major differences, but if you have to change just one thing, which would have made the most impact and would have probably created the most meaningful impact to the maximum number of people possible. Just I looked at one number, and again focusing on the MSME sector. We have roughly about 12 crore people in the MSME sector. And even if I take in an average salary of, let's say, 10,000 rupees, or I say that we would do a direct cash transfer of 10,000 rupees to 12 crore people who are in the MSME sector, what it means is you would need a 1.2 lakh crore per month of expense. And if I pay this for 3 months, I need 3.6 lakh crore. And you would have paid the salaries and the wages of 12 crore people in the MSME sector for 3 months. A lot of companies, a lot of countries are also having similar packages, which are called the paycheck protection program or payroll protection programs, where the government, especially for the small businesses and the MSME sector, pay the wages for a period of time in lieu of entrepreneurs and the industrialists not laying off that population. And if we would have done the same, the math would have still worked almost at the same number. So instead of giving 3 lakh crores of credit to the MSME or extension of additional loans, we could have given a direct wage transfer amounting to almost the same amount of 3.6 lakh crores. What would it have done? And if it would have been announced in the very first stages of this COVID crisis, it would have done two things. One, it would have absolutely given a hard benefit to all the MSME sectors, where the labor cost is easily from 30% to 50 to 60%, depending upon the sector, which is. So a big component of your cost has been absorbed by the government. So that money could have been reinvested on the supply side and the demand side to ignite the economic cycle. And the social impact of this would have been this migration and this movement of this migrant laborers, which we are now seeing, would have been immediately arrested, because people would have been assured of their wages and their salaries for next 3 months. They would have no reason then to travel, because hopefully in 90 days, 3 months time, the economic cycle would have anyway got reinvented and restarted, and they would have the guarantee that they would be paid their salaries for next 3 months. Hard guarantee, hard transfers already into their accounts. And all this social disturbance, unfortunate loss of lives, which we are seeing, and potential, scenario of a huge number of COVID cases actually going up, because a lot of this population are now going to our rural households, where the infection rates will probably go up. And when the economies now have to be started, the labor is not at the same location. So we have a kind of a ripple effect issue now. The labor has gone. They have to be brought back in, and because they have gone to the remotest of the places, the probability of infection going up in those places are also high. So a lot of these could have been saved or could have been avoided if we would have done a direct cash transfer for their wages. And if we would have done that, let's say 3.6 lakh crores would have been needed for that. From the Prime Minister Garib Kisan Yojana, we already are doing 1.7 to 1.9 lakh crores. So cumulatively, if we would have spent, let's say, 5 lakh crore as part of the direct cash benefit transfer, it would have been just 2.5% of the GDP. And I think that would have been in the safe zone. It would have still maintained the fiscal deficits in the ceilings, which I was talking about earlier. And it probably would have impacted the masses and the majority of the people for whom these benefits are required. That's my view. Well, there are so many views which are available these days, and in my view, I think every view has some valid point or the other. So feel free to post your comments and give your suggestions as well. Thanks for watching. Have a great day and have a great week ahead. Thank you.